Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donahue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donahue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. This is a Chicago-themed episode, but we're not talking about gangsters. We're talking this time. We will get to it. Sonia and I were recently on a tour in Chicago. We got to go to all those cool places where that shit happened, but we're not doing that today. It's modern creeps that we're doing today. If you're new to the show, we pick a creep, then we talk about the creep, and then we always end the show with someone who's not a creep, so you leave feeling a little bit better about the world. And especially the last few days have been a lot of sad news. It'll be kind of nice to talk about a basic creep here. Mm-hmm. And also to talk about someone who's not a creep. I'm excited who Sonia picked. She hasn't told me yet. I'm going to find out just when you all find out.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about your creep, really, so this is all fresh to me, too.
Fresh amount of creepitude. You can find us on Facebook. We do have a basic Facebook page. We don't really check it out because that's just a place for people to complain about our language. We use salty language, so just keep that in mind. We have a basic Facebook group, that's private. You do have to answer a few questions in order to get in there. We're trying to keep that as a kind of safe space. Please answer the questions. Give it a go. Just try. They're not that
difficult.
Complicated. No.
They're not difficult questions. A cousin of mine asked if she could join the group yesterday. She answered those questions in a snap.
There you go.
So easy.
Yeah. You could find us on Twitter at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep for 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
We are also on Instagram at What a Creep, and we also have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Those are all the places that you can send us your suggestions for creeps and non-creeps, and sometimes the non-creep is the really challenging one. But we also,
so sad.
It is sad, but it's true. We also have stickers, and if y'all would like some stickers, shoot us an email, and we will drop them in the mail for you.
They're so cute.
They're super duper cute. If you want some bonus content, you can join our Patreon page. We put up seasons 1 and 2 there now. In addition to the bonus episodes that we're offering every month, at least 2 a month.
Yes.
Thank you, all of you people that stay with us and enjoy that content. If you want to leave us a few stars and a nice review on iTunes, we won't get mad at you. And Sonia, do you want to tell them about the website?
Yes, you can go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our podcast, but we're afraid to ask. There's a link to our merch shop there where you could get t-shirts and tote bags, journals, whatever you want. You could put our faces on it. It's awesome. And I also want to say, if you sign up for the Patreon page, you also get a newsletter every month. And I'm actually sending it out on time every month, like I'm supposed to, like a good girl.
You are. Thank you, Sonia. Are we ready to talk about our creep?
Yo, yes.
Here we go. Dr. Mark Weinberger was at one time the ear, nose, throat specialist in Indiana, a place where factory smoke billows through the air constantly. I know this because I recently drove through Indiana twice in 2 days. They got some sinus issues there from all the factory smoke. He picked a town in Indiana because most of the people there had union jobs and therefore they had insurance. In 2004, he disappeared in Europe while on vacation with his wife for her 30th birthday. What she didn't know was the man that she was married to had been committing medical malpractice for several years and had hundreds of lawsuits waiting for him.
Ooh, secret.
It's a real secret. He took off for several years, leaving destruction in his wake, but the persistence of the law, the attorneys of the victims, and his now ex-wife, who wanted to bring his ass back to America to face multiple charges.
I like the story already.
They brought him home. So did this creep get his comeuppance? Let's find out. We always name our sources in this show. It's NBC Chicago, Chicago Tribune, Vanity Fair 2001, an article with 2011, article Buzz Bissinger, who's a fantastic writer. ABC News, Vanity Fair Confidential, which is a TV series you can rent off of Amazon. Lots of creeps on those shows. This is where I got my idea for it. NW Times and USA Today. And this is the funny way we're going to start this out, because the woman's name that we're going to talk about is Michelle Kramer. I actually have a very good friend named Michelle Kramer, and she listens to the show. But we're not talking about you, Michelle.
We don't mean you.
Nope, you're innocent. She was a girl from the south side of Chicago when she meets and falls in love with a doctor from Chicago who practices medicine in Maryville, Indiana. And Maryville is about an hour south of Chicago, I believe.
Okay.
This is in the mid to late 90s, and Dr. Mark Weinberger had an impeccable background. He was born in 1963 to an accomplished family in New York City. He went to Penn. He went to UCLA. He then interned in Chicago. He had some sort of a harsh fallout with his family sometime in the 90s, and he was so angry at his mother that he didn't attend her funeral when she died of cancer. Michelle didn't know a lot about his past life. What she knew was he worked in Chicago and commuted to his office every day, which was about an hour commute, because he knew that sinus issues were chronic in the region due to factory work. Mark set up dozens of surgeries a week and got it down so that he would set them up in 20 appointments in 20-minute increments and would never leave enough time to actually talk to the patients after the surgery.
Oh.
It was like a chop shop.
Yeah, ew.
She'd only been there a couple times, so she didn't know. I think this is an Erica Jane kind of thing, like, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like, did Erica Girardi know, or what did Erica Jane know? Like, one of them knew.
An Erica Jane situation. I love it.
I think she's an Erica Girardi here. I think her husband was doing this shit and she didn't know about it. He was charging thousands of dollars and was rich enough to afford a summer home in Miami. He could rent a yacht off the coast of Greece when he wanted to. He had access to private planes. He showered her with jewelry, and he loved to give her diamonds. They took fancy trips, and he often would take off for New York City just for the day. And he would always come with a big slew of reasons, but it was never really clear. He just kind of I gotta go to New York for the day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. She did have some clues when they were dating that he had a harsh personality. When her father was dying of lung cancer, he complained about how his death would affect their lives in a negative way. That she would not be an enthusiastic sex partner because she was in mourning. He didn't like to...
Ugh. What a dick. What a dick. Your dad dying is really fucking... It's a boner killer.
He complained to her, like, why do you have to go to the hospital all the time? What's there to do at the hospital? Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a bummer. Why are you doing that? What can we do about it? He did not like to talk about his previous 2 marriages or why they failed. And he cut people out of his life when they gave him any kind of a pushback. Some people were really concerned with their expenses. When they did eventually get married, they had 3 drivers on record. He worked out 3 times a day. He had personal trainers. He had a driver that would take him to work, and that, once again, Chicago to Indiana. Then the driver would go back to Chicago to pick up sushi and bring it back to Indiana so this man had sushi for lunch. Yeah. They spent money in really stupid ways. They had women who were dressed in maids' uniforms to clean their home.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
And they had nightly massages. Now, that'd be something I could be okay with.
I'm fine with that. The maid outfits, was it like old-timey maid outfit? Was it like
think
French maid?
Or Alice from the Brady Bunch. I'm not quite sure.
Right.
Unclear. It just said maids' uniforms. Yeah. But still, it's a way, I think it's, putting somebody in their place. Like,
yes, they didn't buy it at the like Halloween spirit store or anything like that.
The sexy masseuse maid driver person. The people were concerned that they were spending a shitload of money on just ridiculous things. And the way he advertises business, and you and I were in Chicago recently, there's a lot of driving that happens around that area. And you see a lot of billboards. And a huge advertising for things that just said, the nose doctor. and 1-800-sinuses. And he called. I can't. It works. This shit works.
1-800-sinuses.
Clean out your nose. It was called the Weinberger Sinus Clinic, and he had this huge schnoz, a nose, like on outside, and like this granite structure. And then you walked in, there was these really nice columns, and then you walked inside and had the latest equipment. And it's you know what they say, like curb appeal, like you show up and you're like, oh,
Right.
this is the real thing. He even bought his own CAT scan machine. So they could just diagnose you and then give you a surgery right away. The problem with that, you know, it's a pain to have a you know, to have to go to another doctor, have a prescription for that, get that done, find out what's going on, and then go back. But that really cuts down on mistakes, or it should.
Right.
It turns out when you went to the Weinberger Sinus Clinic, up to 90% of the patients who went in there were told they needed some kind of surgery, which is huge. He had up to 100 appointments a day.
That is an insane amount of patients to see.
It was ridiculous. And he worked that staff to the bone. I mean, they just were constantly, and he just like is a harsh guy. You've been around doctors' offices where the doctor's a total asshole and you could see like everybody
Yes.
around them just on eggshells trying to deal with them.
Yes.
That's what they dealt with. When he was at home, he was obsessed with his wife's thinness. He weighed her regularly, and he would give her a hard time if she indulged at holiday meals or things like that.
Oh, fuck this guy.
He told her he would never be married to a fat woman, and he himself worked out 3 times a day, so he expected her to make time to do it.
This guy is trash.
He's a real prince. What she also didn't know during those few years is that he was being sued by hundreds of former patients for malpractice. He was basically operating a chop shop and performing unnecessary surgeries or truly fucking up and not seeing a potential problem. And people are getting sick and, yes, dying because of him.
That's awful.
I'm talking about a couple of cases here. So the first one is Phyllis Barnes, who shows up. She's 47 years old, and she worked in social work to help find laid-off steelworkers new jobs. She was the nicest lady. She was a wife and a mother, and she went to the sinus clinic complaining that she was having throat issues and that she was throwing up blood.
Oh my gosh.
He diagnosed her as having polyps on her sinuses and that he would remove them. They immediately have the surgery, 20 minutes. And then when she went home, he didn't see her afterwards. He didn't have time to talk to her after the surgery, which was like her sister's big red flag. He goes home and she's still feeling worse and worse and worse. So her sister convinces her, you got to try another doctor. This guy didn't help you at all. Turns out she had stage 4 throat cancer.
Oh my God.
And they had to remove her larynx. And she had a talk with a talk box. You know those talk boxes?
Yes.
This guy didn't even look at her throat.
Oh my.
Didn't even look there.
This is awful.
She died in 2004. And she never had the chance to see her daughter go to college. And that was like her big dream.
That is so sad.
I know.
This stuff is so scary because we trust so many of us, we trust our doctors and we trust that they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this guy, he just didn't give a shit. He was just about money and moving these people and moving them out. And please call 1-800-sinuses. And
yeah,
I've got a dude in a nose costume on the fucking curb with a spinny sign.
Yeah.
Like, pull in and we'll get you in and out like it's a fucking Jiffy Lube or something. What a prick.
Yeah. When my mother was diagnosed with cancer, it was around Thanksgiving, and she was supposed to come to New York, and we were going to go to Memorial Sloan Kettering. They had a new office up in White Plains. And one of her doctors in Reno convinced her to do a procedure there before she came here. And it was to put a stent in her. Mm-hmm. And the doctor slipped and cut her lung.
Oh, my God.
And she almost bled to death right there on the table.
Oh, my Jesus Christ.
I am telling you, whoever did that, they took months away from my mother's life. Absolutely.
That's awful.
It's awful. And it's like, where do we go? Who do we go to? We're all freaked out. We're just trying to take care of her. It's just, you don't get that time back.
No.
And the fact that here was somebody who's supposed to know what he was doing. He's supposed to be the expert. He, went to all the best schools, has all this fancy equipment. All he does is ears, nose, and throat. And he didn't even check the throat. It's like, I totally have empathy for the families. I would want to beat the shit out of him. It's just awful.
And also, like, I just want to say, it's, someone, and you have too, like, who have had medical things, do trust your gut. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
If you're like, I'm not buying it, push.
Yeah.
Do it. Be a pain in the ass. Let them put a red flag on your file. Fuck them. Like, it's your body.
Yep.
You know what's up. Trust your gut.
Yep.
All right. End of speech.
Also in 2004, he operated on 8-year-old Kayla Thomas for unnecessary sinus surgery.
8?
8. Totally missing a tumor that was on her pituitary gland. Doctors were able to save her life, but the scarring from the original surgery made it impossible to completely remove the tumor, and 90% of it still remains there to this day. It's not cancerous, but it's some shit she has to deal with because of his sloppiness.
Yeah.
Like I said, these are just a couple of the stories. I could tell you more and it'll just bum us all out. I mean, you could find for yourselves in the links. There's other stories in there. Once again, he was seeing up to 100 patients a day. Like, there's going to be sloppiness. There's going to be accidents. There's going to be, and we've all been in situations where our doctor's office and we feel like we're being rushed around.
Yes.
Are they really paying attention? Are they really listening? It's scary.
Mm-hmm. It's super scary.
It's very scary. So anyway, the lawsuits are piling up, and it's Michelle's 30th birthday, and he's, being distant, a little snappy, and a little, just not really being a loving husband. And he says, he does. He says, look, do you want to go to Europe for your birthday? We'll go to Greece. We'll go to Paris, and then we'll go to Greece.
But don't eat anything while you're there. Fucking prick.
Yeah, no baklava for you. In the meantime, you remember when I spoke to you about his visits to New York City?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out he was making contacts in the diamond business and was converting.
Ooh, he had a friend in the diamond business?
That's what commercials here in America. The Shane Company. Is that it?
Now you've got a friend in the diamond business.
He was making contacts in the diamond business and converting much of his cash into diamonds. So these strange men with thick Eastern European accents would show up with their briefcases in Indiana, in this little town in Indiana, and show up at the clinic, and everything would have to be stopped so he could talk to these guys. And they would just go into a room and like briefcases were exchanged.
Yeah, that's not suspicious.
Nothing. No. Also, Chris started really getting into camping and survivalist training. He had all kinds of camping and outdoor gear sent to the office in a special room called, the employees called it the scary room. It was filled.
Shit. Oh, shit. That's a red flag.
It was filled with GPS systems and walking sticks and compasses and food. You could just add some snow and it'll turn into food and just survivalist shit, right?
Please stay out of my definitely nothing illegal in this room.
And the briefcases. I mean, it's just bananas. In September of 2004, Michelle and some of her friends and her mom, they all fly to Greece for her 30th birthday. Mark was a total wreck because when he got there, he realized the survival gear had not shown up yet. It was a day late. Anyway, they enjoyed a 70-foot yacht off of Mykonos.
Oh, what was the yacht called? Any idea?
Fuck, it's in my note. No, I don't have it in front of me.
It was probably like, knows it all.
Captain McFraudy.
Captain McFraudestein. Bodie McBoatface.
She wakes up one morning and he's just gone. And at first she figured out, all right, he's just going for a run like he usually runs by, is it the lake in Chicago. We saw that.
Yeah.
He only grabs the dog and does that like every morning because he works out obsessively. So she puts on her gym shoes and she starts running all over Mykonos. Can't find him. Not a big place. It's kind of small. I've never been there, but it looks lovely.
They had a dog. Was the dog also like freakishly skinny and they dressed it up as a maid? Poor dog.
Poor dog. I wonder if I check him out like staring down his dog's nose all the time, not booping it, just staring.
He gave the dog like a nose job too. Poor thing. It's
Poor
like a
doggy.
Doberman Pinscher with a pug nose or something.
Aw.
Oh, I bet it would be cute.
Anyway, Michelle asks the captain, do you know what's going on here? I'm looking for him. And she said, well, Mark said he had to go off to Paris for a little bit to buy some diamonds for you. But it's going to be a big surprise, so don't say I said anything. Mark still doesn't come back. The next day, she knew that he got a cell phone in Greece. And so she called the number to try to find him. So he's been gone for over 24 hours at this point. And he answers the phone like, hey, what's up? And she's like, hey, it's me. Where are you? And then he immediately hung up.
Oh, my God.
And then after that, he was just gone.
And then she had to call 1-800-sinuses to find him.
He had 3 drivers. One of them eventually got there. No. Turns out Greek officials were now taking over the yacht because it turns out Mark was now a fugitive who had over $6 million in liabilities and she had no cash.
Shit.
He left her 1,000 euros and her passport in the safe and was like, I'm outie.
What a prick.
Yeah. She had to borrow money to get home to Chicago. And eventually she wound up filing for bankruptcy and was given a divorce in absentia. In abstention, I think it's called.
Yeah.
While she was trying to Nancy Drew her life and find out where the hell he was, she actually took pieces of paper that he put through a shredder and she managed to put some together. And she found out that he was in a hotel in Paris. She immediately, like wearing her sweatsuits, like throws on some sneakers, grabs her keys and her purse and just goes on a plane. Shows up in Paris and they're like, they're like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. He just left this morning. We don't know where he's going to, but he was here for several days and like talking to people and stuff like that. Lawyers across Indiana were looking into where Mark had disappeared to. Everybody did because he was being sued like crazy. And she wanted to know too, because she was like, who is this asshole I was married to? What happened?
Yeah, no shit.
She was very good about cooperating with the press. She was featured in a program called America's Most Wanted, which was very popular. And they did a story about him. And that show actually caught criminals all the time.
Yes, it did.
In 2007, he was found living in a little ski town in Italy called, I think it's pronounced Courmayeur. Italy and France, they're all kind of close together up in the mountains. So the accents and the whatever. He was having a little romance with a woman named Monica.
Of course he was.
Who was working at a little grocery store. Weirdly, or really like fucked uply, he told Monica that his birthday was February 5th. February 5th was the actual due date of the baby he was going to have with Michelle until Michelle had a miscarriage.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Right. Of all the birthdays he used.
What a piece of shit. Fucking sociopath.
Yeah. He's using the diamonds for cash, and turns out you don't always get as much as you think you're going to get because people know you're desperate when you're using diamonds for cash.
Yeah. How was he using it for cash? Was he like going to the grocery store and being like, I don't have any money, but here, take this diamond.
I have this a diamond. Can I have the chicken,
diamond.
please?
Can I have some pasta, please?
I don't know. That's my terrible tongue.
We don't take diamonds.
Yeah,
Only
I don't know if he's
ATM cards.
right. Did he go to the banks? I mean, it just. I think there's a lot of flaws with this plan myself.
Yes,
especially if you're attracted to little ski towns. Like, where are you going to go? Like, people are like, oh, there's nothing. That guy, he seems really nice, and he pays for everything in diamonds. Nothing wrong there.
Yeah, it's not suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
He started running out of money and was now living in a tent in the mountains. So all that survival training was doing him some good. He told Monica that he wanted to write a book about leaving the stresses of the world behind. By the way, he told her he was used to be a stockbroker on Wall Street and just burned out. And he wanted to write a story about living off the land. And Monica was like, oh, that's cool. One day, the Italian authorities, the people that seen him in Italy and watched America's Got the Most Talented Wanted People. What did I saying? America's Most Talented Wanted People. Anyway, they saw that program. The Italian authorities find Monica because people are around like, oh, that's her boyfriend. So they bring her in and they explain to her what he's really is in trouble for, and she was horrified.
Yeah.
And she drew the exact map of where they could find him and then actually took them there.
Nice.
And she said it had to be done because I was raised to be sincere, because I had a civic duty. She's a good person.
Yeah, good job, Monica.
This is the part that'll probably infuriate you.
Oh, I can't wait.
He was sent back to America and was indicted on several charges. He pled guilty. He would not go into the courtroom to testify at all. He just gave the testimony on video. He refused to be seen in a courtroom.
What a he's such the fucking entitlement. No.
It's not going to shock you to find out that he's a white man, just so you know.
Seriously, the confidence of a mediocre white man.
He was given the sentence of 7 years in 2012 after 300 people had... Max is not having it.
Oh, sorry.
7 years.
Max is all, what the fuck?
He pled guilty to 22 counts of healthcare fraud, and there were 300 people suing him for medical malpractice. He got 7 years. 7
years. What the fuck? Do they not think it's a real crime? I don't.
The judge was furious. The original deal was 4 years. And the judge was like, well, you got to make this, and people thought, at least give him 10. Like, make him serve 10 good years. Now, well, here, in 2013, 300 of those ex-patients were a part of a $55 million medical malpractice suit that his insurance company had to pay. So there's some justice there. Oh, also, by the way, around this time, his own father had sued him for $1 million for a loan he gave him before he took off. In 2014... Dr. Weinberger was released to a halfway house in Florida. He no longer can practice medicine, but he decided to stick with the doctor thing, and he now calls himself the Yoga Doc. He has a YouTube channel, or he had one. He's kind of taken that down, but you could find Yoga Doc, Mark Weinberger. He helps men turn from nerd to ninja.
Oh, brother. Fuck off.
He lives in West Palm Beach and is married with 2 young children.
What?
Yep.
Who would all right. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blame anybody, but
yeah.
Do better, ladies.
Yeah.
Raise the bar. You could raise the bar.
Just
you don't
a
have
bit.
to settle for this.
Kayla Thomas is now all grown up and went to college, and she's planning on becoming an internist and a pediatrician in honor of the doctors who took care of her after Dr. Mark left.
Oh.
So there's that happy ending to this weird story, and that's our creep for this week, Dr. Mark Weinberger.
What a trash human being.
Yeah.
Good job, Margot.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He really, really sucks.
Yeah.
And he's just like living his best life now.
Yeah.
Doing fucking yoga. Still like someone will still love him and like have his fucking kids. I just said that like there's something wrong with his kids.
No, they're fine. It's not not their fault. Yeah.
No, just he's trash. That's all. You know, he's not sorry.
No, he's a sociopath.
He's just sorry he got caught.
Exactly.
He sucks. Do you want to hear about some people who are not creeps?
Yes, please.
There's a group of 8 nurses at Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago, and they are known as the Old Dolls. Have you ever heard of these women?
No.
Okay. There used to be a few more, but there's 8 like now. These women have spent their entire nursing career at this hospital. They started in the 80s during the AIDS crisis, and they're still there working during the pandemic. They are on the front lines in the ICUs. There's like a group of them, and they're all known as the Old Dolls. And they got this name because they were all working in the 80s together, this group of ladies. And there was some doctor there that was just like, he would call her like, hey, doll, can you get me blah, 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 blah? You know, and they were like, why does he talk to us like that? You know, what the fuck? And then they just decided to own it and like started referring to themselves as dolls. And they have been working there for like, it's been like 40 years. And they're all still working there together. And when COVID started, they were given like an opportunity, like, because they're older. They're all like late 50s, early 60s. And they were all given this option, like, would you like to transfer to like a different department or a different hospital? You know, and they were like, no. They all opted to remain together and work like in the ICUs. And so they're like on the front lines of the pandemic, and they did it because they knew like they're so experienced that like they could make everything run smoother. So they thought it's worth it. So they're still all at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, and they're like training and like mentoring like the next generation of nurses. And so these women are Susan O'Connell, Andrea Baer, Valerie Gongaware, Kathleen Hoke, Peach Donnan, Raquel Rocky Colianto. I'm trying really hard, y'all.
You're doing great.
Okay, Cindy Pasquello, whose daughter Jessica also now like works at that hospital, and then Linda Michina and her daughter Nikki also now works at that hospital. And they're just there all together, and they've been there like, I think they were probably in their 20s and 30s when they started there. And they've like raised their children together. They've gone on vacations together. Like they've lost their parents together. Like, and they're just there together.
Wow.
Like doing it. And they like have each other's back. And like, I think there used to be like 10 or 12 of them. And some have like retired or, you know, things like that. But then they still like help out the old dolls. Like during the pandemic, they were like dropping off food for them and things like that while they were working. It's just super amazing to think about how they stuck together, how they bring this experience. They're saving lives, and they're training like the next generation of nurses.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. And there's all these like, there was a profile about all of them in like the Chicago Tribune, and there's this like great picture of them all in their masks, like standing in front of the hospital looking all cool. And I was like, yeah, ladies, get it.
I wonder who wrote the story. I have a friend who works for the Chicago Tribune.
Oh, you know, I will send you the link. We can maybe link to it in the show notes.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. So I wanted to give a shout out to them. They are definitely not creeps. And these are women who like really care about their patients. And there's some really great stories in that Chicago Tribune article about how they've helped people. So the old dolls are not creeps.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Sonia.
You're welcome.
That was so great. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. And if you like the sound of our voices, and by golly, why wouldn't you?
Right.
We also co-host a show called Dorking Out, where we dork out about movies. Are we going to be covering this week, Sonia?
We are still celebrating Scary Movie Month, and we are going to talk about Scream.
Woo!
I know. I haven't watched it in a while, so this is going to be a good time for me. And I was telling you before we started recording, I might try to watch the sequels, but I can't make any promises. But I'm really excited to rewatch Scream. It's been a while. It's been a while.
If you have ideas for creeps or non-creeps and you want to reach out to us on the social media things, we love it when you use the Annie Potts GIF. We got one from Ghostbusters, but you could also be clever and just do your own thing. Our email is whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you want stickers, please ask. We're happy to send them out to you. And Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. It's mainly videos of Max, the one you hear barking during our show. But I'm there because I'm there to ruin it for the young people. Where can people find you, Margot?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Twitter and Instagram. My site is brooklynfitchick.com. Everybody stay safe, be good to each other, and don't be a creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.